Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we're going to look at improving some of our passenger transit all across the map, as some of our trains could be reworked, and I think at this point we need to prioritize speed over everything to help get more cars off the road. Since if we can make it quicker to take public transit, then we can get more cars off of the road, and overall in the end, that'll be better off for everything. So this will largely include just improving some of our existing trains, upgrading it, and we might even consider expanding some lines, such as maybe the one in Bridgeport, expanding it maybe out to Green Bay or somewhere else. So we'll take a look at that throughout this video, and with that, let's get on with it. So we have these trains here on this line from Akron all the way over to Cedar Rapids, and the only issue with it is it doesn't really get up to its max speed between stations. It's also not too powerful, so it has issues with a lot of the elevation changes, especially in these mountains here. So I think what we need to do is come in here and replace all these trains with something that's faster and more powerful. Alright, so here's the train we're gonna replace these with. It's a BR 103.1 with 5 passenger cars behind it, and we really only have one passenger car, I believe, that can go over 100 miles an hour. Actually, it looks like we might have 2, but these ones are much lighter than these, so that'll be better off for us in the end. So I'll come in here, replace these. They do carry slightly less, I believe, but hopefully they'll be able to get to much faster speeds way quicker than they were before. So watching this train now, we can definitely see that we're going to get to our max speed pretty soon. I'm not too sure if we'll actually hit it before the station or not. We get much quicker, or much closer now, with this train than we did before. And it will be even better on these long downhill sections. And if we take a look at this one coming uphill, that one still got over 100 miles an hour just going uphill. So now another train that I think needs replacing is the one that goes from Akron to Green Bay to Marietta and out that way, because right now this long section between Green Bay and Akron, this train is really struggling to get up to speed going up this hill, and we're losing out on a lot of time on it sticking around like 60-70 miles an hour until it finally gets closer to the top where it can start to speed up more. And I think we can definitely make up a lot more ground just replacing this to a similar train that we had before. So let's grab these. We'll want to replace them, and let's try the same engine we did before. I like this one. It's one of our fastest engines. If we take a look at some of these, it is probably around the second fastest. It's not quite as fast as the one we have on it now, but this one doesn't really get up to speed anyway. Alright, so we'll have this engine with 6 cars behind it. We lose some capacity, but we gain much more in terms of just the power of the train itself. So we'll leave this go. We might need to add one more onto this line. We'll just have to check the other stations real quick, make sure it doesn't have any overload of people waiting, which it doesn't seem to. However, that might change if it does become quicker to take public transport, but I think we're doing okay with these newer trains. Yeah, I think we'll be just fine. Alright, so I think that's it for the trains I want to upgrade at the moment. I do want to take a look at this line here, however, and I think we might upgrade these trains, but first I want to reconfigure this station, place it somewhere else, and get it so we can have this line run through here and connect into Green Bay all the way over here. Now, I think there's probably a decent amount of demand between these two cities, and I'm not too sure if this road is from Huntsville to Green Bay and Alexandria to Green Bay, or if it's actually coming from Bridgeport. But we can see this roundabout is getting highly used by sort of everyone traveling between these cities. So at least having train access from Bridgeport to Green Bay will alleviate some of the need to take this road. So because this is going to be such a destructive sort of process, we're going to pause, delete the station there. We'll need to pull back these tracks pretty far. Now, I think this spot right here is a pretty good spot for us if we can get it to work. The terrain around here is very tricky. We're gonna have to come in with a bridge on this side, and fortunately for us, we might be able to get out of here with a tunnel so we don't have to destroy half the city or bridge over the city with some train tracks. So now the tricky part is figuring out how exactly we're going to get this to connect up. Now hopefully the easiest thing we can do is simply grab this and connect it here, and I actually think this will work. Yeah, we're not getting any warnings or issues, so I guess this wasn't quite as hard as I was expecting it to be. So now we should just be able to connect to this end of the tracks, and this station's all good. So over here at Green Bay, we're going to want to make sure we have some tracks ready. So we'll place down some of these high-speed tracks, and that should allow for us to get our train in here. Not too sure how we're going to deal with this area, but we'll figure it out when we get to our run-up to Green Bay. So for this track, obviously the hardest part's going to be getting out of here. If possible, we want to tunnel under the city, but it doesn't seem like we can come this way. So we're probably going to have to curve it and follow this mountain range until we get out somewhere over here probably, where we can give it a straight shot to Green Bay. So we'll curve this around, and we'll want to keep this underground if possible. So we'll do something like that, and we'll bring it around, and it seems like we can keep this pretty much underground all the way over to here, where eventually we can just pop right out of the mountain over here, and that'll give us a pretty good angle to head over to Green Bay. We'll actually probably pull it out more over here, since that gives us a little bit straighter of a line. Now we'll just follow the track until we get out of the tunnel here, and we can work our way over. So with the elevation changes being pretty tricky, let's turn on our contours And we might need to do just a little bit of landscaping to help us out, as we don't want to create tons of unnecessary bridges and tunnels as we make our way across there. And then of course we'll pull this back a tiny bit so we can get a little bit better of a run up. We want to keep the speed as high as possible, so we'll do that. Keep following the edge of the mountain here. I believe we don't want to climb too high, so we might just tunnel through this, and we should be just fine doing that. So we can follow it through there, bring the other track with it, and then this almost seems like a flat field, but it's not quite. So we're just gonna keep doing small segments to make sure we stick with the changes in elevation. Now here we're coming across one of the trickier sections, as there's a lot of height to lose between where we currently are and the station here. We can see this is going down as steep as possible, and we're still very high up. So we're probably gonna have to pull this back and start our descent much earlier than we were before. So we'll bring the track over a little bit more like this, just so we have somewhat more space, and this might also give us a better chance to cross the tracks here. As we can see, we can get a nice bridge going on there. And then from here, maybe, looks like we're getting collisions with the road, but it does look like it's possible to get down to the level we need to. Alright, so after messing around a little bit, it seems like we can get this all connected up, and I don't even think we have a road crossing, so that's even better for us. We do go a little lower than we might need to, but I think that's just good anyway, so we don't have to hold up any traffic trying to get into the city. So now we can bring this across, just following along. If we can get to snap to the existing track, we can bring that in up through here and just gently ease it into this track. So now that gives us a pretty good connection between Green Bay and Bridgeport. It's a pretty straightforward connection, so this should definitely be quicker than traveling by car. We're just gonna go through, add some signals real quick, and then we'll be back when we're ready to put some trains on here. Okay, now that we're pretty much ready to get a new train on here, we're gonna first need to manage this line and delete the station we got rid of, add Bridgeport back in, head all the way over to Green Bay, and then we can work our way back through Bridgeport, and then Lexington, and then it should automatically head back to Victorville. So even though these trains might now be a little more effective, since it's as a very long distance between Bridgeport and Green Bay for it to get up to top speed, I still think we should come in and replace these, as they're not benefiting us at all with the sort of short trips we're having it take on this end of the line. So much similar to the other trains we've been replacing, we're going to go with this engine and 6 passenger cars, and I think somewhere, probably this train depot, we need to upgrade with some electricity. Oh, as well as the station in Victorville. That's probably also part of the issue. And all of our lines in Lexington. So now we should be able to come in here and replace it with that same vehicle. Alright, so here we are with our new train. It should be going much faster, much more efficient than we were before. And all we have to do is reset up the bus network we have running through Bridgeport. Bridgeport has also grown considerably since the last time we've done this, which I don't even think was too long ago. So, let's get into that. We're gonna delete this bus stop, and I think maybe even this one and this one. Let's just start from scratch pretty much. We'll keep this one down here and this one down here, as these are two ones that are pretty well placed already. And we'll come and add a bus stop over here. We'll add another one up top here. I think we will keep this one here. It services sort of this middle part of the city. And then we'll have one right at the bus or the train stop. And then follow around logically through here to get a nice loop heading all the way across through Bridgeport. What we're going to need to do is manage this line, clear out all of these stations, and then start over from Spruce Street, which is this one here. So we'll have that come to the train station and then just sort of move in a counterclockwise motion around the city and connect up all of these areas here. Now we should be able to let this run, and let's see if we have any better buses that we've unlocked recently. I believe we're running these GM Fishbowl train buses, and it looks like we have ones that can carry significantly more people much faster. So we use this one, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but we use it as it has the most capacity and it's pretty high speed. So hopefully that'll help clear up some of this traffic throughout Bridgeport. And I think Bridgeport's just about due for an upgrade on most of its roads. Seems like somehow a tiny piece of track was left there. But we can come through, upgrade all these roads so that we don't have issues with our bus traffic. We'll even make this one a 4-lane road heading back out of the city. Or I suppose this wasn't even the main road. So I'll just back this up. And we'll leave it like this. So hopefully this begins to help with our bus traffic and help get a lot of these cars out of here. Let's just quickly clean up these intersections as we usually need to, since the auto generation doesn't give you really great spacing between So I think we're pretty much good here. And we'll leave it like this. So we're going to let this run for a little bit, see if our numbers improve, check back up on our old lines, and that might just be it for this episode then. One thing we're also going to do is go through our old cities on some of these lines and just upgrade the buses, as some of these are still running pretty old buses and maybe even not enough buses in some cases, as probably here in Santa Clara could definitely use maybe even like double the amount of buses. So we'll just double our buses in Santa Clara, and hopefully we'll begin to see these numbers begin dropping at these bus stations. I know we need to redo our loops in some of these areas, but we'll save that for a later video. And over here in Akron, of course, we're gonna have to replace these buses as well. I think 10's good enough for now. We had some old buses running, so I think having 10 buses running through here will help just enough with getting people around. And then of course, Garden Grove. This one's grown a ton since we last saw it, so this one's definitely due for an upgrade. And maybe 2 more buses. So with that, hopefully, if we check here, we did see a little increase in our income during the last period, and I'm assuming this is from after we upgraded it. Hopefully enough time has passed since then. It's not really reflecting in some of these others, but I think it's definitely going to pay off more in the future as our passenger numbers update and demand updates, and we begin to see people choose public transportation over private transportation. So I believe that's all we're going to do in this episode. We did some much needed upgrades to our train lines and helped out in some of the cities with our new bus loops. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.